This is section 3.1 part 3, where we are still solving a linear system by graphing, and we're still classifying that system. So in part 3 we're going to look at a system which has no solution. So you can see an example of what a no solution looks like. We see two lines. They pretty much look like they have the same slope because they're parallel, and we know parallel lines have the same slope. So a system with no solution will give you parallel lines, and we know there's no solution because the solution occurs where the two lines intersect. Alright, and if they're parallel, they're never going to touch, thus there's going to be no point where they intersect, so we can't have a solution. Alright, so you would have no solution, and that would mean if it's no solution, it's going to be inconsistent. Remember I said if you have a solution, it's consistent. So if there's no solution, it's inconsistent. So let's take a look at a system that has no solution. So one example of that looks like this. Just as we did in the previous two sections, we're going to take each equation, get it in y equals mx plus b form, or slope-intercept form. So I've got the first equation from my system, and I'm going to rewrite the second equation from my system. So I'm going to try and get y alone. So I've got positive 3x, so I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. 3x minus 3x is 0, and I've got 2y equals negative 3x plus 2. Divide both sides by 2. And we can see y equals negative 3 halves x plus 1. That's the first equation we're going to graph. Next one, I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. And I get 2y equals negative 3x plus 4. Divide both sides by 2. And we see y equals negative 3 halves x plus 2. What do you notice about each of these lines? They have what? The same slope. Once you see that they have the same slope, that's a great indication that your lines are going to be parallel, and you're going to have an answer of no solution. So let's graph both of these. So I'm going to come down here. I've got my xy coordinate plane. I'm going to plot my y-intercept of 1. Negative 3 halves, so I'm going to have one negative movement, one positive. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, right 2. Then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, right 2. And there's my first line. Now I'm going to go ahead and graph the second one, which has a y-intercept of 2. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, right 2. Then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, right 2. And I'm going to graph the second line. Graphing the second one, we can see they are in fact parallel. They won't touch. See, I've got this little floating point out here. Alright, it's because I'm not using graph paper. Alright, so just make that point a little bit bigger. But the idea is that these two lines will not intersect. They have the same slope. We know lines with the same slope are parallel, so parallel lines do not intersect. So we know our answer is, I can do this in green still, no solution. And if it's no solution, we're going to classify it as inconsistent. And you're done.